I don't like the high-speed rail. Here are my reasons. We took 2 decades to negotiate with Malaysia to remove the KTM train from Tanjong Pagar and free up the land used for the rail. Why are we now reintroducing the high-speed rail to come all the way to Jurong East? The construction of the rail on the Singapore side is likely to be very expensive. It will also be a big disruption with tunneling and road constructions. The high-speed rail is likely to be poorly used. It is more convenient to fly to Kuala Lumpur rather than to take the train. The airfare to Kuala Lumpur is extremely low. The fares for the high-speed rail has to be kept low to compete with the airlines. The revenue is not likely to cover the operating costs unless the supply and demand changes considerably. When Singapore separated from Malaysia, a decision was taken to separate the jointly owned airline into 2 separate airlines. The interests of both countries do not converge. I expect the same problems to arise with the joint operation of the high-speed rail in the future. What do I prefer? I prefer the high-speed rail to be owned entirely by the Malaysian government and that it terminates in Johor Bahru. We have already agreed to have an MRT link to Johor Bahru, which is expected to be ready by 2026. This link will also have joint checkpoint clearance. If the Malaysian government owns the entire system, they will be able to decide on the fares and the frequency. If the system is jointly owned and operated by 2 governments, I expect the decision-making on the future operations to be quite problematic. The Malaysian government wants to scrap the high-speed rail project. They have now agreed to the postponement to avoid payment of the 500 million ringgit penalty. They are looking for a way to reduce the cost of the project. Even if they are able to achieve this goal, it is still better to have the system owned and operated entirely by the Malaysian government. This is my view. Thank you.